Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today I'm going to show you how what I call infinity growl is made. We're using the infinity EQ through a series of experiments. I came across this wonderful gem. The input is this. Adding on infinity EQ. So you can get all kinds of lovely phasey goodness, and this is just scratching the surface of what's possible. And then I have a little bit of multiband compression after to tonally wrap it all up. You can also do this with other inputs. This is just a sub-bass frequency. You may need a very nice set of speakers, something that can produce sub-bass frequencies, so some headphones or some speakers capable of it. That's what it sounds like. You get some really nice crinkly sounds in there too. And then this is just straight up a saw wave, just nothing on it, just pure saw running through that chain. So already some interesting motions, and there is so much more we can do here. This is like the tip of the iceberg. So let's go ahead and do this, shall we? It's actually really simple. So for the input itself, if you're curious, I've got here a distortion, some chorus, some unison. I have here a frequency. I'm shifting the fundamental up an octave, but I'm keeping all the harmonics where they were. So I moved all the harmonics down an octave after I've shifted them up. That's how you do it in Harmor. And then I've got a phaser going on, and I believe that's just about it. So nothing really all that fancy on the inputs, just like a big beefy unison saw thing coming in. And let's bypass this one and close it off, and we'll grab another infinity EQ. And I was looking at this, and I was breaking it in various ways because I just wanted to see, it says infinity, how many bands can you add? I discovered a number of sort of bizarre results from trying to add a lot of bands, but I am genuinely shocked at the number you can add. So we're just going to go ahead and double click to add a band. If you drag up, it'll extend so you can get more gain up to 36 dB. This just makes it so we have a little more room to mess with. And I'm just going to add as many possible peaking filters as I can. Now, I should mention here, if you come over here, each band is capable of mid-side. So we could have a side band or a mid band, and you can push it past the limit so that it will actually begin to cut the mids if it's side, or cut the side if it's a mid band. I didn't even mess with this stuff. Totally possible. Another interesting option is if you go with a shelving filter. The shelving filters have 2 Q factors. In fact, let's have one of these in there. Why not? More phasey goodness. Every time you add one, you're going to get some more phasiness. Oops, I got rid of a filter. Anyways, we're going to keep adding filters till we just can't add no more filters. Like so. If you put enough peaking filters in one spot at the maximum dB, it'll just break. Just so you're aware, because who does that? Maniacs do that, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're just going bananas. So I'm just gonna add a ton of these, and that's it. This is the maximum number, however many this is. It's not infinity, but it's dang a lot. I really like the fact, because some plugins don't do this good, the CPU meter, when this is doing nothing, is low. And it only turns on when this does stuff. There are some plugs that will just flip out from having this setting at all. So it's nice that, the coding is pretty tight. And when we play it, and we're getting that extra crinkle, clipping sound is from having too much gain in one spot of the spectrum. If you push all of these up, it'll just totally break. It won't sound good at all. It'll do really weird ringing things, which is not the focus of this video. So what we're going to do now is there is a cool thing you can do where if you make a selection, you can move them and sort of make these really narrow filters, right? Like a bunch of really narrow. And I was like, oh man, I need to automate this. So this is where I'm going to take advantage of something FL can do. If your DAW can do this, great. But you'll notice the lack of macros. There's no macros. This needs macros. Holy smokes, does it need macros? There are possibilities here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to automate this. Your DAW will vary, but if I automate it, you'll see here that automation clips in FL. You'll see my first example only had one clip. So we're going to look at this. So here's the new clip that it added. Automation clips in FL. Right now, if I add, a movement, like let's just have something like this. We'll do a double on that one. That'll be nice. Yeah. Okay, so if we look at this though, only one's moving. That's no good. So in FL, what you can actually do, check this out. You can open up the automation clip settings, and there is a plus button. We're going to click this plus button. By the way, this is covered in the advanced automation video. If you've not seen it, if it's not out yet, it'll be out soon. But I think it should be out by the time this video is out. So I'm going to click the plus icon, and then now whenever I add something, it'll move. And I have all of these selected. So if I move this, boom, all the bands in their widths are now selected. I am only going to move the bands. I'm not messing with double Q factors. I'm not messing with other filter types. I'm not messing with moving the frequencies around. We're going to change where the filters are. I am simply just changing the Q of all the filters simultaneously. I'm not messing with any other fancy stuff. So a ton of untapped potential. If you're an FL user, make sure you click that plus icon again, or it will continue to add things after. You have to click it twice. I wish there was some sort of timeout feature that it said you haven't clicked the plus button again after 30 seconds, but they don't do that. So you got to remember. Okay, so now that one clip, and yeah, that's me breaking it. So some of these gains are just too extreme. So I'm going to scale this back some. And we are going to move these to different areas of the spectrum. I'm going to move one down here. We'll have a couple over here. And we're also going to reduce the highs so that they're just less extreme. I'm going to move these over here. Let's see if we can get back to 12. Somewhere around there. Because if you push it too hard, the plugin just flips out and you can actually hear whatever function they're using sort of go, what is this? You can't do this. Okay, there we go. We got this weird one in the middle. Now I have a very sharp setting here with these really tight curves. It's very responsive, but let's go ahead and lengthen some of these out. Because the low settings can have a very small Q. So now let's go ahead. Let's see if we can make some resonancy pockets. So I'm going to, sort of dial these in here. Let me grab, there we go. Yeah, let me grab them. We'll go ahead. We'll have a cluster of these sort of over here. It doesn't like having so many specific things. So that's something to keep in mind if you're working with this. You just be a little bit patient. This setting is completely ridiculous. And it's a champion. I thought this was going to push the CPU over 50. Easy. Now, I do have a very powerful CPU, but I am shocked at how efficient it is for what I'm doing. So let's go ahead. Let's try this one. Okay, let's move a couple of these over here and give a few of these. Let's try a high resonance. And let's move a few down below. I don't know. Why not? Give it a shot. Maybe in the high range, we'll just have some random ones. And now we can begin to experiment with making some of these a little more extreme. And you can give them different offsets to start. Ooh, I like that. Let's bring this down here. Get our beefy low end going. And let's grab, give me control, please. That's the thing. There's so many things on screen. It's what do you want to grab? I'm like, dude, I want to grab all of it. There's so much here. Now we could come in. So that's just with that particular sound. But let's go ahead. Let's start a whole new one. Let's paste in. So this is just a sawtooth. Oh my word. Do you hear this? That sounds freaking amazing. Let's pull these back. Oh shoot, let's do something like this. It sounds like it's this down that really sells it. So let's do it where we hang out there longer, perhaps. And then here we can take our MIDI. So right, our MIDI's got this like thing going up, but let's go ahead and just I don't know, write something. And then we'll come in here. Now this is where, based on this phasiness sound, here's what I'm thinking would really make this one go well. So when you choose your filter, there's so many options you can go. I recommend just finding a neat phasey issue, and not issue, I guess, sound design decision, and playing with that. So here we've got a really nice phase that I like. I'm thinking some high distortion with a unison with a low pitch will give this phase control a little more power. So let's go ahead. Let's go with a unison of 3, a low pitch setting, and a low pan setting. So there'll be a lot more just phase problems. You see how much this changes? Like, that's bananas, like how much effect that has. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take this. You could also do something cool with the phaser here, but in this particular example, I think it might do something I don't want. And this is just with some random riff. I could come up with a way better riff than this. And let's go for here. Oh, you got a couple options. I think hill could work well. Log could work well. Or cube. Anything that sort of pushes it pretty fast. I don't think the crush examples will work well for what I want to do. There's a couple other distortions that come to mind. But if I want to stay built in. And I believe we still have that multiband compressor. Yeah, we got Maximus on after. So we could try with a verb here. You could get some really intense verb responses though. I'll make the decay rather short first. Now, we could experiment here with the tuning like I did before. We could try bringing down the harmonics an octave. So here it is up. So I'm gonna leave them where they're at, and I'm also gonna experiment with let's bring them up, the whole thing shifted up, and then we'll bring the harmonics back to where they were. Try it with a square. I kind of like that. And then something I like to experiment with is the subs. The subs have different properties depending on the menu you pick. But we could look at it as we're just adding a low thing down there. And so I'm gonna stop there. But you could see a ton of options, and it all comes from just macro controls, basically, of a ton of bands. Let's also take a quick peek at the CPU. So we're idling at 5. Let's see what happens when we play. We jump up to 15. This is extremely respectable. I am actually really impressed with how well it handles the load. I could actually use this effect reasonably in a track and still have plenty of room to add other elements. If it does become an issue down the line, when you really start adding a lot, you can always increase buffer size, which right now I'm at like 32 or something very small. And you can always, of course, render to audio if push comes to shove. But this is very much a very possible real-time effect. The GUI certainly doesn't like it. You saw it doesn't kind of know what to do when you've got so many bands on the screen. But very, very cool. If you have any other questions or comments about this, feel free to drop them down below. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos. And have a blessed day.